Just a second, I need things off on that one. I'm ready, we're on, I think.
Good evening, everyone. Village of Belmont, July 8th, 2025 board meeting called to order. May I ask everyone to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Barb Bruce here.
Jerry Lance here. Jerry Rig here.
Linda Isaac here.
Peggy Walling here.
Herschel Johnson here.
Linda Dawson here.
And Claudia Dance at work.
Thank you. Before I go into comments about comments from Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor to Sparklight Fiber Optic Cable. Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you want us to know.
My name is James Bell. I'm with Sparklight. I'm the construction manager for the Midwest. So we are got everything approved, and what our plans are is to build fiber to the home here in Belmont. We'd like to get, as soon as we would order materials, we would start construction. I just ripped it. Before we would start, I would hang this on everybody's door, just let them know what we're doing here in town. I should have brought one of those, but that's just to tell the the public that we're coming in. That's what our contractors are here doing. And you may see you're going to see some disturbance of the ground and stuff. I mean, but we'll come back, straw, feed, everything. We plan on directional boring and everything, so we won't do any plowing. I looked outside of town. We got just a little bit outside of town. We may plow along but that's county, along the right of way out there. More than likely, they'll just bore it just because they're going to have a boring machine in town.
Tell me what boring means.
So directional bore machine is they take a rod and a little spoon on it and they dive it down and they'll bore like 400 feet and they can come up, they'll dig a pit, they'll hook onto it, they'll pull conduit back, which is a big 1.25-inch conduit, and some places, I got a map, some places will have one, some places will have two conduits, and so that 400 feet, they won't disturb any ground there. Now, if we're crossing a water line, a gas line, a phone line, they're going to come in and pothole those. Normally, they have a vac truck. So a vac truck, what that is water. They shoot just like a high pressure water, and then they vac those holes out so they can see the ground. Sometimes they'll dig it out, but most of the time when they're coming into a town, they have a vac truck. So they'll locate all the utilities that we're crossing and see how deep, and then they'll fill those holes back in.
Are you saying VAC, V-A-C?
Yes.
Okay.
Not always do they use a vac truck. Sometimes they dig it up with what they call mini, just a little mini backhoe, and dig it up, and then they'll restore the ground. Sorry, that's my phone. Lost my train of thought. So, and whenever they get done, we'll come in, straw, feed, everything. We're just finishing up Allendale. If you drove around town through there, you would see straw sections where we threw grass seed down and strawed it. And again, a lot of rain, so we'll probably have to go back on some things because whenever the ground settles and stuff, you may have a vault that may sink a little more or something than another, and we'll come back and address anything that anybody brings to us. We will call all locates be called in, and if we hit something that's located properly, then we'll take care of that. So I'm not going to say there's 100% of the time that you're always going to not get something. We try our best because we don't want any damages, but what we'll do is once we get all done and we light up the system, all your residents will be able to get internet and cable. We have our cable now is, an app that you get on over the internet. So but we can offer that. I was trying to find out today whether we are offering phone in these new markets, because a lot of times phones going away. But, I'll find out that for sure. But I definitely know internet and cable TV. So, and again, the cable is an app. You just get it over the internet. We put a little box in, either a Fire Stick, and you can download our app on there, and it's our cable services. We don't offer traditional cable anymore. It's all streamed. 1 gig service is what our minimum, or well, what we plan on, what we offer in like Mount Carmel. I think we can offer even faster here because it's fiber to the home. And when I say one gig, that's 1,000 megabytes, and that's what we call symmetrical. So it would be 1 gig down and 1 gig upload speeds. This is kind of like the offers that we're doing right now. We'll probably have different offers by the time we get this done. Anybody that wants to see what some comparable pricing is, it'll be a little different because this market's going to be a little different than Mount Carmel, just because this is fiber to the home, and that's a coax system, so it's an RF, what we call our RF system, and this is all fiber, all the way into the house, all the way up to the modem. So we'll probably offer some different things, but it'll be very comparable in the price. This is just kind of the offer we're offering right now. Introductory rate. There's a couple of them. I think I got some more colors here.
Now, Dave, I understand that you're introducing the idea to us, but nothing would take place until the board said, yes, we want you to come in.
Right. We do. I mean, that's what I'm wanting to come in here and get a good working relationship with everybody. We do, and I have to find out how that works. But I mean, I want us to get a good working relationship. We do have a state franchise, so we pay state franchise fees. So I know a lot of people, a lot of companies will go in and just start building and never pay anything. I like to go to the mayor, the town, say, this is what our intentions are, and we'll go from there. You know, I would think it would go over big. I mean, this town is very underserved, and fiber to the home is the top of the line service. I mean, we can offer whatever speed. If you have a business that wants even faster speeds yet than what we offer residential, we can offer about whatever you want. I mean, right now the system that we haven't lit up Allendale yet, but the one I just done before that up in Henning, I seen they're offering 2 gig service. I looked it up today. I don't want to say exactly what it is because different markets are different. You know,
Sure. Okay.
They're starting to make everything the same, but sometimes, this market may be able to offer a little bit faster speeds. 1 gig is fast, 2 gig is, I have 2 gig at my house, and I never use the speed. My grandson does nothing but game all the time, and he's up at fast speed. So we do offer our Wi-Fi devices. They're called a Euro. It's a very good product. You can go in there, like I have parameters set for my grandson. All of his devices are on there, and he's only allowed on certain times, and I can set all that up through the Wi-Fi. When he comes home from school, chores, homework has to be done first, and then at a certain time, his internet comes on, and when it's bedtime, his internet goes off. So you can set up all that. There's a ton of things you can do with the Wi-Fi. I can get on right now on my phone and see who's on my internet, who's doing what. I mean, I don't see where they're going, but I can see their devices online. So, our plan is, I got a big one here. These are, it's kind of hard to print the whole town out on 11 by 17.
Yes, sir.
But I have a big map here that I'll leave. These are the routes I can print it out like you copy. Our plan is to mostly go down the alleyway. So the reason that is when you go down the alleyway, you get both sides of the block. And, you don't have to bore the road every time. But when you go down the, and I'll So, so whenever we run a drop to the house, you don't have to cross the road every time. It's coming through the alley, a lot less disturbance. The drops you're on is very deep.
So you're showing your line by, with the blue dotted line?
Well, this is a better map. It's hard to.
And that's an advantage for us too, because all we have is our sewer going down the alley, and that's much cheaper.
Yeah, because we won't be near the sewer. So these green lines, I'll leave this, these green lines that you see spurring out, that looks like a star, those are all drops to the houses. We will not do that during the construction. Those will be as needed as people come on. So if you said you wanted internet and we set you up for an install, they would come out, run a drop from the pedestal or the vault, however we decide we're going to do it. And then they would run that to the house at the time of install, and they'd come out and what we call knife that in. It only goes 3 or 4 inches deep there. Now, there's a blue line and an orange line on there. The blue and orange just represents different colors of duct. So you'll see that orange cross. Orange is what we call transport, like the main big fiber. So you'll see sometimes there's a blue and an orange. That's when the 2 ducts will be in the ground. And then the orange is like the main piece getting there. And then the blue is what we disperse out. We call them terminals. That's where your drop is hooked in that goes to your house. So everywhere you see these star pieces is where all those drops go back to the terminal. I discussed before with you whether vaults or pads. I like pads just because vaults get full of water, but I'm not opposed to putting all vaults in. If, they want to keep that nothing above ground. We would have one location that's right here that would have a cabinet and a power supply that we would hook up with power. You see that big blue thing? That's just a cabinet that roughly 3 foot tall, and whenever we look at this, if anything is, whenever we start talking and you said your sewer's on one side, I don't think we'd ever get in the sewer. It's probably a lot deeper. But if we decided, hey, I don't want you on that side of the alley because our sewer runs down that way, and we don't want to have to mess around with it if we have to dig up or whatever, we can alter these plans to switch to the other side of the alley. So, and like I said, what we would do is probably get your plan, see where all you're at, and then probably alter ours. This is a high level. I mean, it's pretty accurate, but switching one side of the alley or another is not going to make or break us. I mean, Allendale, we went down one side of the road and they decided they didn't want it on that side. We switched to all the other side. I do a redesign. Do that. Very straightforward. I don't like to, I have very short goals for myself and my team, but when I talk to people, I'm going to say first of the year, we will be able to offer services. I'm going to hope it'd be a lot quicker than that, but you just never know with weather, things that hold you up. Sometimes you get into, oh, well, we can't get this piece for 3 months, and that's what our final piece is lined up. Most of that stuff we have in stock, so that's not really an issue, but a year or 2 years ago, that was a concern. But, I'm going to say first of the year we should be able to offer services, but I'm hoping it would be, we're getting pretty late now. I mean, we're halfway through, so it depends on how quick we can get started and get moving. But yeah, it's I don't see any downfall for the
village. Sure.
Yeah, for the village. We're putting the bill on all this. It's on our dime. We'll cover anything that again, I hope nothing gets damaged, but you've been out there, people go out and stick a shovel in their yard and they hit something with no,
Right.
But
What's the depth?
So normally, we'd like to be around a minimum of 30 inches. We try to go 30 to 36, some stipulations like, the county will probably say we got to be at least 3 foot underneath the ditch line. So we may dive down back and be under a ditch line, 3 foot, you know, and then come back up. It just, we done Henning. The city of Henning said all of our stuff is at 36 inches. We went 24. We went 24 inches in the hotel. I don't like to go that shallow, but we accommodated the city because everywhere they were 24 to 30 inches is where we were at. I think they said they were 36 to 48. So, and that was.
How deep is the line going to each individual drop to your?
So the drops they're just plowed in. They're probably around 6 to 8 inches deep.
So what's the charges if I plant a tree and I cut it? How much will I be charged?
We normally don't charge something like that. If you're digging on your own property and you cut the drop, we're normally not. I mean, it's nice to call in locate, but 90% of the time, unless you go out, like if I'm out there the third time and you've cut it on purpose, or not saying that's not your dog, but we've had people that had dogs that dug it up and chewed it up like 6 times. I mean, at some point, it's like, hey, we got to do something. But our drops are also in conduit. So, I mean, they're in 3/4 inch conduit or drops. So if you go to dig, normally you're going to hit that conduit before it's, we call it interduct. It's on a big roll. And you've probably seen them around the big, normally 1.25 or 2 inch, but they're on a big roll. And, but we have smaller stuff at 3/4, and we put that 3/4 inch stuff in, and then we pull the drop through it. So worst case, if you would dig it up and cut it, we would just splice the duct in and pour the drop in. So.
Did you happen to bring like a sample contract that we would need to look at or to look at? Or
I don't know that we haven't ever done any contracts with the state. I mean, we have a state franchise agreement. So, I mean, I don't know what that is. So, like you're digging in we pay the state to be anywhere in Illinois. And then you contact the state. I don't know. That's above me. I mean, I'd have to get a little more legal and get that stuff out. Yeah, I'd have to get a hold of our legal and they can talk a little more about that. My counterpart was going to come with me. He was sick today, wasn't able to make it. He didn't come in. So he's a little more in depth on the legal side. But like I said, most of the time we'll deal. We submit all of our what we call FTAs. That we have to submit all of our addresses and everything, and then that all goes through the state of Illinois.
Yeah, because right from the beginning, it sounds like you're coming in. Boom, you're coming in.
Well, I mean,
so
we
your
our
franchise
plan
says that you can.
Yeah,
so I just need to find out the legalities.
Yeah.
What my limitations are to say when, how, and where, and what the board needs to know.
Yeah, and that's what I want to start out with a good relationship with the city. I'd like to get started sooner and later, just because in wintertime's harder to work in the dirt and fix things and make it look nicer. So if you can get it done during the fall and stuff before the ground starts freezing, because when you have to start digging up when the ground froze, it's hard. We'll be coming back a lot later next spring to fix things, just because you can't fix it when it's froze.
How does your signal, I'll call it for lack of a better word, how does it get to Belmont so that you can then lay your cable?
So
you lay a cable to Belmont, or?
So we have fiber that runs from Mount Carmel all the way to Albion, and we have a cabinet south of Albion. Well, our fiber is actually just right down here on the corner. I mean, 1/4 mile outside town.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll run a fiber out to there. We'll tie into our existing fiber to get the signal to here. And it'll be generated from the Albion hub, which is south of town. And then that light will come here, and then we set this cabinet, or the cabinet here. We'll set that cabinet there that actually disperses the signal out. So we take
sorry, what street is that where the cabinet is?
That goes down to the park and then the county road that's going out
It
there.
looks like it's, on Schomburg. Yeah.
And I looked at that, we may be moving that, that's not a very good
Yes.
thought.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I'll probably be looking at that. Like I said, I hadn't had the map down here, with me to actually look at things, so I'm probably gonna move that. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a very overgrown.
It's overgrown, there's a little alley there, and it's a big ditch, and I
Triangle.
just wasn't impressed with where these guys that's designing this, the design house, doing a high level. They're doing it from Google
Right.
Earth.
And they're looking for what's gonna spread out the best for the size of the town.
Yeah, so they design it all. I've got other maps that show all the details. All this is showing is the conduit. I got the map that shows what kind of fibers and what's spliced to what and all that, but I take all that off to simplify it. But when I seen where that cabinet was at, I drove it out before I come here. And I said, yeah, we may be looking at moving that. I don't like that location.
Okay.
Would you spell your last name?
Bell.
Bell, B-E-L-L, okay.
I got some cards in my truck. But like I said, these offers are probably going to be, we're going to be running offers all the time. We'll probably have an introductory rate whenever we light up the system to come in for customers. We offer service to businesses. Business has a little bit different rate. Anybody that, whenever you look at this map, any of these green lines out here is going to be able to get service. Now, you and I discussed all that out there. I'll have to discuss that with the landowners. I didn't realize all that was private property.
Yeah.
So, well, I can discuss that. But yeah, anybody that's on that map will be able to get, anybody in town will have service.
And when you first come into town too, that's a little bit of out of city limits too.
Yeah, us here.
Yes,
Yeah, but we're still going to build.
Yeah, it shows that
Yeah,
you're all.
we're going to build all this there.
Yeah, so that sounds good.
Yeah, some of it will be out of city limits, but we encompass all that.
Sure, sounds good.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. These small communities, we've been trying to get the funds and build them,
Yeah.
It's,
And I think you and I talked also that like Browns, you weren't able to go to Browns yet. But
so we'll probably do this one, and then we're taking a little bit of steps at a time. I'm kind of dispersed a little bit, and then once we get a community done, we'll submit another one. I actually just had a call. It was last week, like Wednesday or Thursday, and I actually brought up Browns. We discussed submitting that for our next project.
Yeah.
So.
I thought that was a good idea too.
Yeah.
We're a little bit bigger. Like,
We have fiber right on the edge of town over there too, because
Mhm.
it snakes through and it goes along that edge and then it goes
Right.
along.
Okay.
It's south of Albion on, what is that one?
Grayville.
Towards Grayville. We have service in Grayville. It goes from Albion to, we go up to Fairfield and Wayne City and all that, and then to Grayville down to Carmine. We have a pretty big fiber infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. At one time, nobody wanted to build these little towns, and now we're starting to move into it. You probably don't have any internet provider here that,
Frontier.
just Frontier.
Yeah, Frontier.
But they're just not, they're not,
Yeah, they're DSL.
they're just DSL.
Yeah.
Using that satellite.
Yeah.
So does your company offer any incentives to the villages, like would our city hall get free internet or?
We don't
fire
offer,
station?
as of right now, I don't think they were offering any free. They kind of used to, and then they kind of done away with that. But like I said, that's not up to me. I would have to discuss that with our local offices. But we do have a lot of, like, our last thing here, this is all first one right now, if they would scan this QR code and you sign up through this QR code, you would get a $50 gift card. introductory rates, we have specials all the time. This one, the 35 is just for 3 months, and then it goes up to
75.
75. Now, that's for a 1 gig service. So 1 gig is that's a lot. We offer lower speeds. We also have, for people that were qualified, I don't know if you've heard of the LIFT program. So these are for low income.
Yes.
And if they qualify, you know, they scan this QR code, they fill out their information, they get with a representative, and they can get a lower rate. We just offered one last month for $9.95 for 3 months for this LIFT program, and then it would go up to $29.95, which is still cheaper than, you know.
And how soon could, an applicant apply for that? Could they look into it now, even though you're not here yet?
Probably not, because they're gonna look it up by address,
Okay,
and we're not gonna have any addresses in there.
okay. Well, I would say that would probably be, something that our village could take advantage of.
And what's gonna happen whenever I start building and when we get ready to activate it, my team will come and we'll probably tag every door with a couple of these papers. We'll fold them up, staple them to a door hanger, and we'll tag every door with those, just so that we'll get some literature out there. This is probably gonna change
Okay.
in the next 3 to 6 months, you know?
Is this something that we could have added to the, say, the shelter house, in the park, so that while people
Yeah, so
are
we
there
work
in
with
the
it.
area, they can get,
And we work with the city on some different things, on, different, Washington had a Wi-Fi downtown, Washington, Indiana. And we work with, the Cub League, they have a Wi-Fi service in Vincent, they have a Wi-Fi service. I don't know all the details.
So like our churches, our shelter house, or ballpark,
Anything around, you're gonna be able to get internet.
you would offer them. Because I know that would help out the churches quite a bit too here.
Hey, any,
thinking about people going to use the ballpark in the park and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, that'd be something that's not my forte. I'm all the construction side, but we can discuss, you know, when that time would come, you know, they work out some deals.
Well, you know, like when you go to a building and say McDonald's and they have Wi-Fi.
Yep.
So if someone at the ballpark, they can bounce off of the concession stand Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll, like I said, we can offer it,
Yeah.
but like I said, I'm excited for the small towns because they're very underserved. I know, when I didn't have internet at my house and all I had was dial up, it was rough. But I don't know, you guys may have, I don't know what you have now, I don't know what type of service, you know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what speed they offer.
I don't know all that part of it, but mine is satisfactory. Mine, you know, I was able to do my college work and so forth on it.
Get on this and see you hit the button, it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's no, or if you wanna watch a movie, that's
So I have to wait for it to stream
you
down.
don't have to wait for nothing. That's how we do our video, is it's all streamed. And I can have my grandson playing video games, I'm watching a movie in my garage, my wife's watching a movie in the house, and there's no delay.
Okay.
Good thing about fiber to the home is probably the only time that would go down is if the fiber was cut somewhere, you know, so if they're digging and they cut a fiber, but we're local, so we're gonna be right out to fix it. My coordinator was out till 5 in the morning last night, because they had to cut up in Brazil, Indiana, and he was up there and they were fixing it. We're very local, so we normally are there within hours, and then depends on how bad it is, how long it takes the restoration, you know.
Where is your local office?
So we have a office in Mount Carmel. I'm out of Vincent. So, but, my coordinator that will be running this, he is based out of Carmine, but we have technicians that live in Mount Carmel. They have technicians that I think there might be a couple in Albion. I don't know, because that's a different department than mine, but I know that their boss, they have guys that live. We have we have cable service in Albion, Fairfield, I mean, we're all around the community, so. But I can get you a little more on the legal stuff for the, on the other side of it. I'm hoping that we can just say, hey, we're good, and well, let's get moving, but, you know, I haven't ordered any materials yet because I'm just kind of waiting for our conversation to go through. And,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, the board will discuss this a little more in detail, and, I think it's important that we find out what the public wants. My part, I think most of the public is going to go for it. Because we were very disappointed we weren't able to do it last time.
Yeah.
Because they weren't giving us any guarantees.
Right, they weren't going to build the town, they would come visit.
Yeah, we took so much more of what the town wants. But we'll look into that, and then, hopefully I'll be able to get back with you shortly.
Yeah, and you have my number. I'll get some cards, bring back in. I have a few cards on my truck. So.
Okay.
But you guys are more than welcome to keep any of this literature. It's just, these are some of the specials that are going on right now. You can keep that big map.
Okay.
That way you can see that a little better.
Yes, sir. And Dave, we'll take those up here on the table.
And I'll go get some cards and then. You guys any more questions?
Okay.
I'll go grab you some cards and you want me to roll that back up?
I'm struggling.
Are you in Keensburg yet?
We are not. I did submit Ginsburg a couple of years ago. There for a while, we weren't building much, and now we're being pretty aggressive. We're starting to build a lot of systems. Like I said, I cover 13 states, so I've got projects going on. Sioux City, Iowa, Fargo, North Dakota, Joplin, Missouri. You know, I've got a lot of projects going on all over. Dyersburg, Tennessee, Poplar Bluff.
That'd be great for those woods out there and for you center.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
just hope they go.
everybody welcomes it. I mean, it's
You can hook in.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
yeah. I mean, that's the way anymore. The faster the internet is, the better for people because you know traditional video is going away. And everything streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually had to shut our video down so we could make our speeds faster. So that we shut all of our video services down on the normal, what we call analog, which would be a traditional cable service. We shut all that down, and now everybody just has a modem and they stream. We got an app and they stream our stuff. But we had to do that to be able to. You get pretty technical talking about bandwidth and stuff. To be able to offer more speed, you have to get rid of something in this bandwidth.
Right.
And that's where our cable is at.
Okay.
So we done away with that. So now we just offer internet. Well, our cable's on an app.
Yeah.
I was trying to get a hold of. That's probably him trying to call me to see if we were offering phone in Allendale. I'm not quite 100% sure if we're offering phone services. Phone services, most people don't take a phone. I mean, you're finding out everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah.
You're talking about landline.
It is a landline, but it's over our internet service. But I don't think I have to find out if we're offering that or not. It may just be internet and video. Like I said, you very rarely get anybody. We give phone away on our other services, pretty much, because nobody takes a phone.
I think for us, the only advantage would be a fax.
So we do some of that for businesses. We offer fax and we offer, we can do multiple phone lines for businesses and stuff. We do offer that.
Okay.
But I'll find out for sure I'll grab my cards and I'll get the, what do I call?
All righty.
I'll grab those real quick. Nope. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Something like this, is we need to have a public hearing for the public to be able to come in and say, hey, yeah, let's do this.
I think it would be nice to offer one and
Yeah.
offer to the public with the information that we get. He's given us an offer that's no good because we don't have.
Exactly.
This is no good.
That's why I asked him to put it on the table, because I'm like, we don't want to mislead anyone, because it might not be this good next time, come January.
I think the little program would be.
I think the majority of the village
We
should.
need to get a lot more information before we want to operate.
Okay,
I think they would appreciate to be able, I think you're right to ask
have an open
questions.
forum.
Yes.
Okay, and at that time, then, we could ask Dave to come back with more of the details.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Jade, we were just discussing a little bit that, we would like to probably have an open forum with the public, so they can come in and ask their questions and get more of an idea of what everybody likes and don't like, and go from there. So, I'll try to work on that as quickly as I can to get that together, and then I need to look into the legalities of it.
Yep, and I will also find out a little more detail than that,
Okay?
on that side of it. But again, I want to start out,
On the right foot.
with us all, in agreement and because I don't see anything but positives for the town.
Okay.
You guys have a good evening.
All right, thank you,
Thank you
Dave.
for coming by.
Thank you.
I did, speak to a resident in Allendale, and she said it's done really well as far as
I can hear you, Linda.
it's done. I spoke with someone in Allendale, and it's done really well getting things set up. They're not live yet, but she's very excited about it coming.
Is she a resident or somebody that's on the study of the word?
She's a resident, and she also works from home on the computer, and she thinks it's going to be a really good program. Now, as that comes live for her, I'll keep in touch, and I'll report back to the board.
I mean, I think it's not wonderful. Like, why I asked him about a contract is, they wanted to come in, we couldn't be digging in our alleyways and we have to have something. So
Yeah. That's what I would think too, because I wouldn't think that,
we can't say, we have someone in and we don't have anything in writing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll call the state on it,
They
and I'll
have
call
a
the
state
attorney.
something that I don't know. what
State
it is.
franchise, yeah.
He doesn't know either.
And I don't, so,
And our pumps, don't they work off internet up at the well house?
no, it
Okay.
doesn't.
Oh,
The telemetry,
Okay.
don't they just use that as a bounce? I don't really think so,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, I hope you all don't mind that I invited him to come on in and give us some information.
No, not at all. That's great.
Okay. Okay, then we'll go ahead and, on that then, I will try to move as quickly as I can to find out the legalities and the state franchise information, and then maybe within a week or 2 weeks, we can get a public forum together. Does that sound quick enough? If I'm trying to,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
I think people will be really excited to hear about it.
I do too.
yeah. Okay, next we have the, June minutes, June 2025 minutes. They were presented earlier.
Do you want to do your comments, Mayor?
No, I don't. I want to keep moving. Did anyone have any questions on the June minutes?
No, I didn't.
No.
And then we also had closed session minutes. Any questions on those? Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve both, June open and closed session minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve open and closed session minutes for June.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I'm not voting, sorry. I forget.
We have to show that.
Okay, then, bills and financials that were presented this evening, we had our draft report. The draft come out a little bit early because of the vacation time, so did everyone get a chance to look at the, official that was in the bill? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the bills, approve the bills and financials presented this evening?
I so move.
Who's the second? Okay.
All in favor, please?
Aye.
Need a roll call vote.
I think we're okay. Does everyone feel that I need to do a roll call vote for financials because of money? I've done it in the past.
If you just tell me the yays or the nays, I think that's fine.
Okay. I've done it in the past because we were always so short,
Right.
you know, and I just felt like I needed that,
Okay. So would you raise your hand if you're an aye vote? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 6 aye votes. Are there any nays? No one absent.
Okay, next we have the water report. I didn't bring that out for you. We had been running fairly good. We, a little low on chlorine the last day. We've done a, valve, cleaned the ejector in the pit, and, we're looking good. We're within acceptable limits, everyone, yeah. Would you like me to get those values, or is that,
No.
okay?
Maggie, I can't hear you.
I said, they're within normal limits, I don't need the value in front of me at this time.
Okay, I will go ahead and, talk a little bit about, the busyness that's been taking place the last, couple of weeks. We did get our dishes done. I think the dishes went well. We went slightly over budget with, we ran into a snag at the four-way stop sign at Hill and Church. That water was not drained very well, and so we ended up having to replace that culvert there so that water would start draining, south down that area. And so then the county had to come in also and clean that ditch for us. So I think our original was 14,000, ended up being 15,000, for that extra work. We also had to replace the culvert on, the alley behind the same location, the Schomburg, so behind Burbrick. That one needed, it was collapsed on one end, so we had to replace it on the alley. The one going under the road, once we got that cleaned and flushed it just went great. So we were afraid we were gonna have to replace that, so it was quite relieved when we didn't. We had our firemen come out and flush the culverts. They did a good job on that. We still have a couple of culverts that might need to be flushed, and I wanted the public to know if they know their culvert needs to be flushed, to let us know so that we can get a hold of the department and let them know we still have 1 or 2 more.
The field down for me is catching a lot of water again, and all the buildings in the ditch.
On the southwest side of the road, on your side,
The south.
oh, you know what, I did flush hydrants last week, could have been that, because I did flush the hydrants.
I don't know, but I can't see, this road is so high, I can't see
So
the
it needs to
road.
be mowed?
Yeah, I can't see the road.
Okay. County does that, so I will get a hold of county and let them know that they need to be, cleaning that, or trimming that, cutting that back road. There were a few residents that took advantage of, Derek Guy's light while I was out here digging, ditches, and they had their culverts replaced also. That was a good help. The county still needs to work at the ditch behind the Christian church. Their water was holding there, and, they had just done the Julie dig from west, and I needed on this side of that to see why that water wasn't moving. So they are gonna come back out and, dig up that one area to make sure that those culverts are connected there, because it's all been filled in, behind the, it'd be on the northeast side of the Christian church. So the county will be looking at that. Okay. Legacy came out and removed that tree that was up on, in the park, on the park area, due to storm damage. And, you know, we had already approved all that, and that went through, and that was done on insurance. And then we had 2 other trees that were, hollowed out, and one completely dead that were also removed. We're still waiting on, the EPA to do their final, paperwork showing that who gets what amount of, forgiveness on the EPA loan that we've applied for the tower painting. And once that final letter comes out, then Tracy Swanson, our engineer, will be, putting bids out so that we can start getting bids for that painting. It's still on track for getting done this fall. We're still waiting on final signatures on the Oslide, grant for the park. We did, run into a snag where they had, thought they were doing something more than what they really were. I'll let, the park people talk about that, but that's still on track. Everything's looking good there. Janet Story, Watlers County, she responded to the Data portal stating that, yeah, we're still in the process of getting 2023 audit done, so we don't have it here yet this evening. And then 2024 will quickly follow, and we have the paperwork prepared to send in 25 as soon as, we get something done from them. I have presented maps this evening about the city limits, of the property lines of city limits, and I just want anyone to, if you've gotten those previous, if you have any questions on that, feel free to ask me to clarify it. But I wanted us all to be aware of where our city limits are. I did not realize that when I was mowing lot 1 all the time, I was mowing the park and lot 1. I did not realize that. And so once I got to the city limits map again, it's quite obvious to me. And I remember, I don't believe some of you were here when, Mrs. Coleman came and requested that, if she could put gravel on our lot 1 to get to hers. She actually put quite a bit of driveway on lot 1 once I saw the lines on it. Mr. Bochecker, Tony Bochecker, had his property surveyed, and then it was just quite obvious to me where lot 1 is and where park is. So, that's on those maps there that you can see that a little plainer. So I spoke with IDOT, Brett Walker, and, found that we chipped and sealed up to, the Park Road, and that portion that's outside of city limits is paid for out of general funds, and that billing is done properly. And then, but actually I could have went up to the end of our lot 1, because us owning that, I would still be responsible for that portion. So I do have a little bit of patch left over, and I'm going to be asking for a volunteer to help me go and, take the rest of that up there, fill that in, and then block it. That little bit of rock that we have on, lot 1, we don't usually utilize a parking space up there. We pull in and check that well every once in a while. Same thing with Sanders. So that rock I'm going to be moving out onto the road right there in front of, lot 1 to try to clean up those holes right there. Beyond that lot 1 property and the park property on Park Street, that's private property. Those roads pass that. So, I won't be doing any more than just what I stated. I do want the board to, think about and consider taking out, Park Road, which is the little lane at the far east side of our park, but we will do that in conjunction with whatever Oslide grant decides needs to be done. They now realize that we do have that extra part of land that we could use more wisely. And so we'll see what they have to say, and if we should even consider that at all. But again, that road is maintained by general funds, and it's traveled. So, just food for thought.
So if you take that out, then the only way for the residents of the trailer park to get to their residence is through the, Hill Street?
East Hill Street, and they
That's
go
the
down
only
to
way
Park
they can
Street.
go in or out of the trailer park.
Just like the horseshoe, they have to and then come back down.
Which all their lots are, most of them are the same owners. There's 3 owners in and that area that share the responsibility of those lands, of that private. But you know what, even the other owners, the other, one owner has all of, I can't say all of the roads, because you share half the road in front of your lot you're responsible for. So they share the responsibility of taking care of those roads, because we don't own any of that in there. We don't take care of it. So yes, that's why I don't want to act hasty. I want to see what Oswald has to do and what they can do with that park. If they can utilize that park in a better way, then they will tell us what's best. So that's something for the board to look at, see what Oswald has to say to us, and then consider them if you do anything more about it. Nothing hasty, not doing anything quickly on that, just looking into it. The daily and weekly maintenance at the lagoon has been good, mowing has been good. I did have a volunteer last week that helped with the mowing at the lagoon, and I really appreciated that. The pump lift station, pump 1 came back in on a Tuesday. It was installed on Friday, and it's running well and maintained well. Okay. I wanted to apologize for I put an insert in the water bills about an appliance. It was an ad that I saw in the appliance pickup. I probably should have took a picture of the appliance ad and put it in there, because someone was kind of confused and thought that we had a contract for someone to come pick up appliances. We do not. It was just a courtesy, just like what I put out here on the window. And there was actually 3 residents that took advantage of that individual to come and pick up appliances. So it was a good thing. I think I pretty well covered what I wanted to tell you all about, what's been happening on my end. We talked about the budget. Oh, no, that's still coming, okay. Then, would you like to go into reports from trustees, or would you like me to go on to the new business and talk about the lot on Main Street and the scrap metal? Does anyone have anything they'd like to share with us on the reports from trustees? Okay, the 2025-26 budget, I believe Claudia did give you a paper on the sanitation. She had forgotten that on the original one that you guys had a chance to review for the past 2 months. And so now I'm ready to ask if anyone has any questions on that budget. And okay, may I have a motion to accept the budget for 25-26?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Would you raise your hand if you voted aye?
Aye.
6 aye votes and 0 nays.
Okay, the lot on Main Street, we had talked about this for months and months, and maybe before our new board came on. We had a very good offer to tear it up into gravel, like the concrete that's already there, which is pretty hard for me to weed eat over and maintain. That they will chop it up into gravel and just leave all gravel there, or they can remove the concrete completely. The bid is the same, and I need the board to tell me what you would like me to do. Do you want it gravel or do you want it grass? And it'll be easier for the board, for the village to maintain its grass, in my view, if I'm the one mowing.
I was thinking if it's hard to weed eat on the concrete, it's going to be harder to weed eat in the gravel.
Yeah. And then you're going to be spraying it all the time. So,
But I mean,
In my opinion, it'll be a waste of time to keep it concrete or gravel, because it's not going to be used for parking.
right.
We all know it's going to be people parking out in front. They're not going to go up in there, and the bus won't be turning around in there because it probably won't be allowed. So if my
Yeah, that one
opinion,
pole kind of makes it harder for the bus to get in.
yeah,
Yeah. I was thinking too that if, grassing it, then we're going to have the concrete removed. why don't we just go ahead and chop it up and put it on the side of the road where people are parking? So we don't lose those that gravel on it.
Well, if they chop it up that small, it'd be all
They're
right.
not gonna do that. They'll bust it up and haul it off, or do something else.
Okay, you don't think it? Well, Derek Geiswright is the one that's given me the better bid on it. I had 2 bids on it. And the original bid was to remove it completely, and I believe, Mr. Geiswright said either way, that he could bust it up and actually fine it, however they do that, they run it through to make it more gravel side, that he would do that, and that was part of his bid that he gave.
With the same price, or is it,
So,
is that something we can use out at the sheriff on?
The bigger-
Levies or
the bigger part,
concrete?
yeah, we can have him, haul it out there. It doesn't, it's just like when they haul the dirt. It's wherever we want them to put it, or we can tell them to take it away, we don't wanna look at it. Maybe that'd be just the best thing to do, and then I can put some grass there.
Is it a possibility that it could be put like riprap along the, what do you call them, around the,
Levy?
yeah.
Okay, that's what Peggy was saying.
Yeah.
That way all you'd have to do is spray for weeds.
Yeah.
So on this lot, is there concrete on both sides of the city lot?
Yes, and one side might be thicker than the other side, and then there's this one large, brick that goes across it, probably 6 inches tall and 5 inches wide, and that's the majority of the problem with that, is because you can't go over it, so you can't really, so, all along, the previous board has thought, let's just get it cleaned up. And, then we talked about the bus stop, and we all kind of like, I don't know, and then I got the bid on it, but we didn't go any further because I'm like, I'm not really sure what the board decided to do with it after we get it cleaned up. So that's what I'm asking this evening. Grass it?
Well, yeah, I would grass it and haul that stuff away.
Okay, all in favor of grassing lots on Main Street?
Aye.
Okay, next we have scrap metal. We do have a handful of scrap metal. We've talked about it once or twice. And I need to know if we want a volunteer to load it up on a trailer and take it down to Burns Prairie, or do we want to just, find someone to come in and take it away? I looked in, there was a gentleman that came in last year at the, parking lot, used to be Target, Salida, and that's what he does, is pick up scrap metal. And I still have his contact, and he offered to come in and get it, whatever scrap we had, but it was for a very small amount, like $100 or something. And
He would give us that.
he, possibly, you know, but then that was gonna change depending on what all we really had or not. And at this point, I feel like the scrap just needs to be gone. So,
I feel the same way, but I'm not capable of moving it, so I can't volunteer to get it.
right,
I
okay,
don't have that kind of material in it.
trailer, and so our trailer's not big enough to haul it.
Yeah.
We'd have to borrow a trailer and load it up and have a driver take it down there. And by the time we
would
spend the
have
money,
more money in it.
yes, exactly.
Potentially would get out of it.
I think that's why we just kind of been sitting on it. So, do I have permission then to contact, someone to come and just haul the scrap away?
Well, I want a bid on it.
So,
That's taxpayers' money.
I don't follow what you said.
That's taxpayers' money sitting out there.
Well,
You just don't have somebody come in, haul it off. You gotta bid it out.
well, once it becomes trash, I can see what I can need to do with it. So, we have, stuff out at the, lagoons too, that is just scrap, some of it's just scrap, it's just be gone.
I think we've had the discussion that it would cost more for us to get the equipment to move it and the trailer and the truck to haul it, and the person to do it, you know, would be what we would get out of it. So you have my vote to have someone come and get it.
Do I have a second on that?
I second it.
All in favor?
Hey,
Is that 6? Jerry, you got your hand up? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, next we have, changes to the utility ordinance concerning water shut-off after the delinquency period. We had discussed this several months ago. To shut off the water, someone's water that hasn't paid the bill needs to be 30 days past due. The paperwork on the ordinance says we'll shut them off on the 25th day, and I don't think that quite explains to someone that that is 30 days past the, past due amount, because it's of the service rendered. So if we read meters on the 16th, then on the 16th of the next month, it's 30 days past due, even though the invoice was presented on the 1st. The service is rendered. If it's not due, not paid by the 10th, it gets the fee, and on the 25th, we're going to go ahead and shut you off. And that was all said and done, but because of the way it was worded on here, I needed to be certain that it's understandable on the ordinance that it's 30 days past due. So the change on that is, will say,
This is usually what's written.
so any customer who fails to pay the utility bill within 30 days of month or monthly period in which service is rendered shall have the utility services shut off. Delinquent bill guidelines are stated on the bill presentation. So on the 1st, it says we're going to shut you off on the 25th because you're past due. So nothing is really changing there. It's just that we're making sure that the wording on the ordinance says 30 days past due of service rendered, because that's the statute there. Any questions on that? We're still entitling them to their hearing. They need to notify us that they need a hearing. We'll work with them. We can work out installments. I have a really good, people are good about calling in and letting me know that if they're having a difficult time. And then occasionally someone will ask for a hearing, but not too often anymore. Most of them are able to get a hold of me and say, I'm going to do this on this day, and then I know they're good for it, and that's the judgment I have to take. I make. So, any questions on that ordinance then? Okay, so I've read it out loud to you, and so now I'll ask for a motion to accept the ordinance change on the utility that clarifies that it is 30 days past services rendered. So nothing is changing other than the wording. It's clarifying that more clearly. Everyone have a copy of that now? Okay. May I have a motion to accept the ordinance? And what ordinance number will this be, Claudia?
It's, I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me.
I don't see it on my
38-2-1.
No, it's a new, it's not a new ordinance, is it?
No, it's just an amendment that you have to, we show that we did it this year. So we've already passed the budget. The budget should have been 2025-01. It's the first ordinance that we passed this year. And so then the this one here would be 25.
The ordinance was 2501.
That was the budget.
Yes.
And then utility is 2. 25-2.
No, this is 2. I think it'll be either 3 or 4.
Oh, the budget is 2?
Yes, the
What
budget
was
is 2.
You know already? I don't recall.
I don't remember. Have to
Okay.
get our book out.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 25. And so the, I just want to get it right on my paperwork. The budget was 02 and the utility was 03. So you just tell me?
Yes.
All right. Now I have a motion to pass that ordinance. The first.
Linda Isaac.
And a second.
I'll second
Jerry is a second.
it. Yeah.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 6 votes, okay.
Okay, next on the agenda is bids for selling diesel tank and flatbed trucks. The diesel tank we know is, it doesn't meet the guidelines, it's out of function, out of service and has been. And I wasn't real sure about how you do bidding, but it's just a matter of placing it on the door, placing it outside and putting it in the paper if you want that you have something for, selling, you're taking bids. So I'm asking, is the board prepared to do that now? And the flatbed truck. The flatbed truck is a stick, and I can drive a stick, and I personally cannot drive that truck. We have used it every winter. We have a volunteer that does well with it and has used it. I've heard interest in it. So, in town and outside of town. So I need to know if we need to go ahead and place those things on bid.
Okay, I know we're getting rid of the diesel tank, but why do we have to get rid of the truck?
Well, we don't have to, but is it really functional to us? We do have a tractor that pulls the blades. The thing about the truck is that it pushes, right? That's the front part.
Wait, did you say we use it every winter?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
When
why
it
we get
runs.
hold of it, it's paid for and.
Right.
okay. And the plates aren't costing us that much more, insurance is, reasonable.
Included in the.
Yeah. Okay,
Did we
so,
put that on IML?
yes, it's on IML.
Okay.
It's the risk management, it covers all.
I know, but I was just
Yeah,
wondering if
yeah.
it listed, since we thought maybe we're gonna sell it.
No, it's, okay, as long as it's still on this property, it's
I think
insured.
that we should take bids on it, each will count, the truck, I don't, we can get rid of it.
Okay, so, for getting rid of the truck, how many, what do I vote on that? Nay.
Nay.
Six nays, so we're not gonna do anything
Did you
with
vote
the truck?
nay, Herschel?
Truck.
I don't think we need the truck. But
We
if
can only,
someone volunteers to get it running every winter to make it
They
do
do?
what they need it to do, then I guess it'd be okay. So,
okay, so your final vote is keep the truck, or,
keep it.
okay.
Okay,
So
so
we,
that's 6 nays.
okay, so we will not be looking at getting rid of the flatbed truck. The diesel tank, we'll go ahead and advertise that for, closed bid.
Where do you have to put it? Notice on the door, and where else?
You can run it in the, like, WSJD or something. So we just have to post it.
Okay.
And it's just a simple post, it's not anything extravagant. I learned that from, Mr. Hunter.
Dustin Bunting.
Bunting. Yeah,
So someone will just call a bid or mail it or,
we'll ask them to know that it's
Has to be a sealed bid.
still good.
so you would open them and look at them the next meeting or set a date to look at them?
It's new to me. Yeah, it's new to me, but we'll do that, and, depending on how quickly the buyer wants it, we may have to have a special session just to, settle the bid. Okay,
We can just, and the mayor, we're going to test the kids, both of them.
Maggie, I can hear you when you're facing that way.
okay, so we can, when the time comes and we'll have a certain time limit and we're accepting the bid, and once all these bids come in, then, myself and the clerk will look at the bids and we'll call the meeting. I don't even have to call the meeting. I'll look at the legalities of it.
Yeah,
But-
because I don't know, if we have to do an open meeting, open bids, I don't know.
Yeah, still good, yeah. Okay, I'll look into exactly how it's done, but I do know that that's, as far as doing it, you just have to bid it. But I've got permission from the board to go ahead and, bid that out, so I will, and then we'll do it properly from there. Employee status, we still don't have an employee. We have had, several applications come in. We're still waiting for a few applicants to get back with us. And we've done, 4 interviews.
3.
3 interviews?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, I don't have any, anything yet on that, and as soon as that, we think that we have enough, time, we're not gonna get any more from the folks that I've already got a hold of and are waiting to get back with us, I will call a special meeting, and hopefully the board will hire them for us. Okay, next is a price for the Bible study at the shelter house. We had talked about that, and, we offered them one night, 3 to 1, so they have 1 free. How'd that work out, Barb?
They were wondering if we could do a little bit better.
No.
I agree.
I mean, like, they said, you know, we're only there, you know, 2-3 hours, but I mean, we can't get into that, you know, because you're going to have people calling and saying, can I have it for $25 if I'm like 2 to 4 for my birthday party?
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
only gonna get
and-
an hour.
Yeah, and so,
I heard that out in the community as well, is that they were wanting a reduced rate because they're only in there for a couple of hours. But when it's 100 degrees outside, or 20 degrees outside, what time do you get in there in the morning to turn one on? It's running all day, just like you were there. So I would have to say no, I think that, you know, people that like to do one. The church has money, so.
yeah.
So,
And even if, I mean, that's a really good price.
yeah. And maybe there's gonna be times down the road, you know, they're not using the heat over there, maybe we could just get them, you know.
Right.
Okay, so, at this time, what we offer them, Sam?
The offer's good as it was. If they don't take it, then they can
Okay,
put more air conditioning in their church.
all right, so let me just write the changes on that. The next thing I have on the, agenda was, annexation of the park consideration. When I was looking into the map, it was questioned to me, well, why isn't the park in city limits? Why didn't that get annexed in way back when it was gifted to the village of Belmont? For my time, but is that something that the board wants to consider, annexing the, city park into the city limits? I don't know the different legalities involved, I don't know what that changes for,
The city park,
the village park, the Belmont City Park. Belmont, what is, it's called the Belmont Park.
If it's gifted to the Belmont, then what's the purpose for annex was because it's already ours.
Well, the only advantage for us is if we did, this is an advantage, I don't know what the disadvantages will be, I'll look into it, is that we can maintain the road with motor fuel tax money. But until they do their park thing, I don't know what kind of road it's gonna have anyway. We probably always have that baseball park road is what the one that goes there, because people are parking there for the baseball field. And then beyond that is a walk path that goes around all the back of the park and on through. So it might not be anything we need to consider. But I didn't know if it was something that board would like me to look into.
I'd like to know a little bit more about
What it means?
what
I'd like
what
to
that
know.
means.
Yeah,
Right.
what the advantage of it and the disadvantage, because apparently at some point there must have been a disadvantage to it.
Well, I just didn't want to start the.
Way back when, there was a road that went all the way around that park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know
And
where that is.
And it was actually, the first time the fair was here in the early 1900s, my grandpa said that was actually the racetrack for horses around the perimeter of the park. And I know when the project engineer walked it, he said it was a perfect quarter-mile oval. So that story would make sense.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
So you've got a map here too of what appears to be the trailer park. Are you talking about annexing that as well?
No.
Okay.
Um,
I was gonna say that.
No, just the park, what is considered the park, and there's a good 30 feet on the south side and a good 20 feet on the, north side of the trailer park area that is considered park, before those lots begin. And so that is park area. The second page, I believe, shows that to you guys a little better.
Yeah.
See how the solid blue line, those are the lots 1, 2, and the trailer park is divided into section T101 through 12 and T201 through 12. And so the first lot on the south side, the village owns. The next lot is a residence, and area all in front of that is park. It's actually park. And so the little park road, park lane that goes through there is the park.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But we went to that.
Yeah.
We own that.
I just didn't realize the area past that is also, and so I think that's something that needs to be considered.
And then this is the
Somewhere
road
at
they're
one time,
driving.
they said that
Right.
So
This
not
is
the track
actually
we're talking about, main part,
Yeah.
but the
So
horse
the
tracks
road
are
is
most
still around
recently.
like this.
Yes,
But
Big
part of
road
that
is
is
right
city
there.
limits and part of
There's
it.
a grandstand and
I don't know,
double
have you ever
there.
heard anything
Yeah.
like that?
No, I
Or
heard that.
Okay, if
connections
you-
into that, where they got that dirt stacked right now.
if you look at your map, the first page, you will see the racetrack, see the circle of the racetrack,
Mhm.
and that large portion of that is in blue. That is
Oh, right
city
here.
limits.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't give me one way or another, but it is city limits.
But that's not owned by the village.
No,
No.
just within city limits, that's all it is. So,
That racetrack is, from what I know, it's still under, what is it, Gary lease for 90-something. Well, when I was a kid, it was for 90-some years. And I ain't quite got that old yet.
yeah, I'm sorry, how old are you now, Gary?
26.
Okay, well, by no means,
Huh?
The
Who's it
county,
leased from?
county only.
That was leased to the Wabash
Now, we
County
have a-
Fair Association
Yeah, at that time.
but
at
it,
that time.
but it was actually deeded to the village. I have a deed past that where it was deeded to the village.
The racetrack was,
Well, no, the park, I'm sorry.
we're talking,
Ah,
we're
yeah,
talking
you're
about the
right.
racetrack.
Well,
now.
about that,
Well, then who owns it?
yeah, I don't.
Am I not following, or, I mean, someone would have it, right?
Well, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that part.
Okay.
That's all I know is that it was leased. And it's
Gotcha.
still under lease, because that's why Bozecker can't dig it up.
Oh, okay.
He can get all the hay off of it he wants, but he cannot dig that
Sure.
racetrack up.
Where's that,
That makes sense.
where's that, thing that you wanted to, hydrant, where's that hydrant located? Is it on this
No,
part?
it's right about in here.
And I'm not sure that it's a hydrant.
You can just see something red.
Oh,
Yes, and it
Yeah.
is, I'm not sure that it is. I'm looking on the hydrant maps to see that it is or isn't. I flushed all the hydrants last month, and I thought that was one, and I was told not to go on the property, and, so I haven't, and I just noted that if it is a hydrant, it was not messed with because I was told not to. And, I might walk the railroad track and go look at it a little more, and see if it really is a hydrant, but I don't think it is.
I mean, because that could make sense though, couldn't it, when the track is operational, if there was a hydrant right there,
Especially since it's
watering it
in city
down.
limits.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember where we could get the water from.
Cause
And
see,
there's
if you
one
look out
across-
across there, it's right about in here. If you're looking north,
It's on the
That
north
on
would,
the
side.
north side.
that would be between the
right about.
racetrack and the railroad track. This railroad track
Oh,
here,
it's before, yes, it's before the railroad track, it's just right about in here, on the south side of
That'd be
this
it, that'd
part
be-
of the oak.
okay.
Right about in there. You can
there's-
see it if you go to, what's it, I know it where the farmers bought water, the little greenhouse, and you just look straight across there and you can see the little red sticking out right there.
So I
And it's bright red.
It
It's not a faded red,
I
like our
don't
old
think
hydrant.
it's, and this is speculation, but I'm pretty sure of this. It's not a hydrant as we know a hydrant. It's like the end of line thing just for flushing.
Okay, because when I tried to look at it, I did not see my little cap, I didn't see my little, openers on the side, and so I'm thinking, I don't think it's a hydrant that I flush.
No, it's something else, but
Okay. So
I haven't been down there to look, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those smaller things that we used for something else.
Okay. And it kind of runs, along with the hydrant that is on the other side of the railroad track behind Curtis's.
Yeah,
There's a hydrant there,
yes.
and it's on the other
It's
side of the
the
track,
street.
where this is on this side, but it still would line up if you were going west. So,
No, but we don't know who owns that west side of the track, that
Both-
portion.
well, we do.
Bozacker does,
That is most second.
Yeah, it's both like a property, yes.
Or do they lease it?
Well, anyway,
No,
So,
they do on that ground,
I'm not concerned
west
about
of the
that,
racetrack.
that
Between-
possible hydrant or
Between the ditch
flush valve.
and the racetrack, they own that.
And
They farm it every year.
back on the annexation of the park, by no means was I'm asking you to vote on annexing that. I just wanted your input if you think it's something I need to consider looking into.
Right.
And what all is involved in that.
It might be worth looking into, but
Advantages and
since it
disadvantages.
already belongs to us, I don't understand.
Okay, right, okay. Okay, we've already talked about the 23 audit. I will continue to put that on the agenda every time, just in case it comes in the door and says, I've got your audit. I want to be prepared to, look at it, vote on it, so. Okay, I think I have covered everything on the agenda this evening. At this time, I will, open the floor for public comment. Okay, no comments at this time. We're closed. Anything else around the table?
I talked to a girl in the post office, she was, and you brought it up at the last meeting about the leash law, and we didn't really discuss it anymore. But she told me that in order for her children to sit outside, inside of her gated yard, fenced yard, she has to sit out there with a gun. In the yard. Because the dogs that ran loose jump over her fence.
And she's the lady I
And
referenced
who's
that
that?
the dogs had cleared the carpet fence and got into that area.
Where is this at?
Wow.
That's his whole house, where Burger's good.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, you're
Oh,
kidding.
okay.
You're kidding. She said, I have to sit out there with a gun when my children play inside my fenced in backyard. So she was asking, you know, if we got ordinances or whatever, and I said, yes, we do. You know, I'll definitely look into it for you. She said, well, right now, we're dealing with it on a personal level, and I think we may have it where we can resolve it personally without involving the town. But, she said she would let us know, and I've not heard anything else, so hopefully,
I guess you're here somebody shoot you or what happened.
but I'm like, oh, we don't,
Just the purpose of a gun out in public,
I
man.
know.
This is behind Luke Burberry's property now?
Yes, and in fact, she had got home one day, they weren't home, the gates were closed, and these two dogs had jumped. They said probably a 4-foot chain link fence and
Is that where-
security fence, where
where
Gary
the-
and Joanne lived.
Yeah, but is the place where they live, where the dogs are at, is that where your
That's
relatives
across,
used to
that's
live?
across the road from,
I don't know whose
house.
dogs they are. She didn't tell me whose they were.
I believe that they belong to, the residents in the old, what I used to know as the Della Lloyd house.
Where
And
Nash lived, John Nash.
the,
back in the day.
And I did see the dog out again, and I called the dog pound and said, this dog is roaming. I've had several reports of it, and it needs to be handled. And so they were gonna come out as soon as they could. And then, another incident where I was called and the children were out with the dog. And so I went and talked to the children and, said, is the dog yours? And they acknowledged yes, and that they have a kennel for it. I said, well, you're not to have it out of the kennel without it being on a leash. And you know, and I had them, you know, talk to your mom, let them know who I am, if they have any questions to get a hold of them. So, and then we did send that, note out in the water bills reminding folks of the ordinance about keeping the dogs leashed.
What color is this dog that's been seen running loose?
It's brown. But it's not the only dog that's running loose. That's the one that we're talking about now that's closest to that neighbor. But there's also one, on Persimmon that, the owners of that are very much aware that those dogs are a nuisance and we're watching them closely also. And I've instructed to, when people call me, call the dog pound. Don't call me. I'm not gonna go pick up this dog. You know, I'm gonna make documentation that we have a problem with it.
Right.
But you've got to call the dog pound and get the dog pound to come over and get this dog. Once or twice you go in and paying the bucks to get your dog out of the dog pound, maybe you'll figure it out.
Right.
But by the time I do it, I can't, what am I gonna do other than tell the owners, please
Right,
maintain your dog?
Well, I only brought it up because it's just serious.
Yeah.
When you really feel like you have to sit out with a gun and go on to protect your children from these dogs.
And I think these are the dogs that killed some chickens in that same
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
And cats.
And a cat, yes.
Maybe we're counting.
Yeah, and I thought those dogs were the ones that were on Persimmon.
Those are Persimmon now.
Okay, all right.
Because this resident and the former master house didn't share with me whose dogs they were ultimately.
All righty. Anything else around the table?
I know we are looking into the sidewalks and the trees over the sidewalks.
Uh-huh,
There's a couple places on Hill Street, I guess it is.
okay.
The tree limbs are growing down so far, this sidewalk out in the road, get around.
On Hill Street?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will take a look at those, and if they are not hollowed out or, you know, look like they're gonna fall in the next 2 years anyway, I would try to get them trimmed back. Otherwise, if they look like they're gonna be hollowed out, still much higher, and, you know, you'll have to tell me what you wanna do about that.
Well, it's a big old catalpa tree, so I don't know if it's hollowed out or not, but if it has to be cut down, maybe David will want to do it, because he uses all that stuff.
Okay, you know, we're always safer to go ahead and hire it done, because they come get it and take it away, we don't have to worry about it. For the most part, it's like $800, Legacy's been working with me for $800 to take a tree down and haul it away, but they always leave that stump. And, now I did get a much better price on these last 2 trees that I had taken down, because they actually had some, trouble with their truck and kinda got stuck out here a little longer, and they called me and said, hey, Linda, we're out here, we'll go ahead and take that tree down for this better price. And I'm like, okay, we'll do it, let's go for it. One of my originally said no because it was higher, and I'm like, can't do it, you know, I'm gonna take that to the board, that's just too much, can't do it. But when they called back later and said they brought the price down, I'm like, take her down, get her out of here. Yeah, so, but okay, but I'll, Derek, if you want, you and I can take a look at that and tell me exactly what you want, and then we can, see if it's pricing is decent and go ahead and get a few down. Okay. Next meeting date is August 12th. Second Tuesday of the month. Anybody have any problem with that date?
I'm sure I won't be here, I will be racing my horse.
Okay.
In Springfield.
Well, I'd like to go too.
Wasn't that the Joint Trust Fund Centralia? Yeah.
What's the Tuesday? The weekend is, balloon fest.
Okay.
We're hoping to go to that one. I had a really good time last year. Okay,
Just August 12th.
do we have a problem with the absence of Mr. Rigg, or should we reschedule our meeting for another night? Okay, then I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I second.
Time,
7:58.
thank you all very much.
All right.
All in favor, thank you.
Who was the second?
Who was the second? It was Jerry.
It was me, yeah.
Yeah, but you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all for coming.
We had 6 votes.
What? You're tired of it?
Here's your pin back.
I think that came from City Hall.
Did you get one of those cards?
So, well,
This
I do
one
have
has
one.
children
I
on
do
it,
have
too.
one.
Then, yeah,
Get on, Joe.
And like I said, the advertisement of the